Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, we're going to take a look at the Nintendo eShop title, although there is a physical version, from what I understand, but I will get to that in just a minute. But anyway, the eShop title of Juarez, if I'm saying the name correctly, Gunslinger for the Nintendo Switch. The game is also available on the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC via Steam. But for this review, we're going to be taking a look at the Nintendo Switch version. Plus, I want to give my thoughts on the movie that I just came back and saw, Uncut Gems, which is, to me, kind of an excuse me, kind of an interesting movie for Adam Sandler to do and all that stuff. And of course, if you're interested in any gameplay footage, I'll have a link down in the description down below. And also, I just want to point out for any of you, just in case you know this, Juarez Gunslinger is rated N for mature, and I believe Uncut Gem is the movie is rated R. Now, when it comes to the name Techland, most gamers have basically two games have kind of popped up for a lot of gamers. So, one is, of course, the Dead Island series with Dead Island and Dead Island, I think, Riptide, though, with Dead Island 2 coming but not being developed by Techland, since they went and did their own series, the Dying Light, which is kind of like a spiritual successor to the Dead Island series. They also were famous for a series that made its appearance on both the PS3, the 360, and the PC, and that is the Juarez series, which was basically a first-person shooter, but set sort of in outside of Cartel, which I've been hearing not everyone likes that, but I never played that game before. It's just set in sort of the whole Wild West and all that stuff. Now, it was kind of interesting this year when Techland was talking about, Dying Light 2, and the question came up was in regards of whether or not Techland would be bringing that game to the Nintendo Switch. And the answer they gave at that time was pretty much no, because they believe the engine would not work well on the Nintendo Switch. However, they ended it by saying, though, that they did have plans to bring something to the Nintendo Switch. They said it was a AAA game and they should be able to release it by year's end. And at the time, no one knew exactly what this game was until rumors started to pop up that basically the report was Techland was bringing over a Switch version of Juarez Gunslinger for the Nintendo Switch. And it wasn't until it started popping up on the ESRB rating website, and it's sort of a bit of an art picture that kind of gave it away. And then finally, when they officially revealed it, and that was Juarez Gunslinger was coming to the Nintendo Switch. So after playing a couple weeks with the game, I honestly have to say, for this game to be exact, is that I actually do enjoy it, though, even if there are some minor quirks to it. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start off first one with the pros, and this one has to do with the graphics, though. As far as the visuals in the game go, I have to say I definitely like the visuals. They definitely have a little bit of a comic book or interesting art style, kind of similar to the way like the Borderlands series is for this one, though, and I definitely enjoy the look to the game, though. Obviously, this running on the Nintendo Switch, it's not going to look as good as, say, what is on like maybe a PC or something like that, though, but nevertheless, it looks nice. So from a visual standpoint, it looks good. Next thing I want to talk about is the gameplay, and the gameplay is definitely fun. The best way I could sum up the gameplay, especially if you're playing it in story mode, is think of it kind of like the single-player mode in the Call of Duty games, though. This one with the Wild West shooting, though, you have basically, you have your 6-shooter or Ranger. You also have access to either a rifle or shotgun. You even have access to the ability to concentrate, which is kind of like what Red Dead Redemption has with their, how you could slow down time and all that. It's very similar to that approach, and what makes the gameplay interesting is also the story, where the main character will talk about, his time being a bounty hunter and all, but what makes it interesting is that sometimes the story will go in one direction, and then he'll sort of like think, oh wait, no, did I say that direction? I meant this one, and you basically go into a different direction and all that stuff. So this, with the story having a bit of twists and turns, adds something unique to the gameplay. So gameplay is definitely fun. The next thing I want to talk about is the music and the voice acting. And honestly, I think the voice acting and the music are really good. The music gives off that bit of that spirit of the old Wild West and so forth. And the voice acting, I will say, the person who tells the story and all that stuff does a really good job. I really like the music and the voice acting. I think it is spot on. And last but not least, though, is that for a single-player game, this is certainly enjoyable. Not only do you have story mode in here, but you also have the ability of like New Game Plus, also collectibles. Not to mention you have arcade mode, where you basically shoot enemies to get like a high score and so forth, and duel mode, where you could take on other characters and all to go in sort of like a Wild West shootout. So there's there is certainly stuff there to enjoy, and for a single player game, I'm happy what Juarez Gunslinger is offering as far as in terms of its single player experience. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2, the cons, and I want to give my thoughts on the movie Uncut Gems. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Juarez Gunslinger for the Nintendo Switch. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And as far as the cons go, there are only 3 that I could think of in regards to Juarez Gunslinger. Excuse me. The first one has to do with the frame rate. Now, it is worth pointing out that as far as the Switch version goes, it runs at basically at a good steadied 30 frames per second, regardless if you're playing it docked or undocked. And that certainly isn't a problem or anything like that. And I think that's good that the frame rate is able to be steady and all that stuff. I think that is a very good thing. That said, while it runs at a good steady 30 frames per second, I am a little disappointed they didn't make an effort or make an attempt to try to hit that 60 FPS, though, considering that this is a linear game and so forth. So it is somewhat of a disappointment. Not something I'm losing sleep over, but nevertheless, somewhat of a disappointment that it didn't hit 60 FPS in a way. But like I said, it runs at a good steady 30 frames per second, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The next thing I do want to talk about is the duel, or the shootout and all that stuff, which is in Juarez Gunslinger. And it is part of it, you do play part of it in the story mode and so forth, and there is a separate mode called the duel mode if you want to take on that as well. And I have to say, it's not terrible or anything like that, but I did feel like there was a bit of a learning curve with that one, because on one hand you have to sort of move your left analog stick to make sure your hand is on the gun at the right time. And then, of course, you also have to move the right analog stick to line up your focus and to ensure that your focus stays on that character to the point when it's the right moment to draw your gun. I mean, you got to draw it, you got to time it right, because sometimes you'll get a dishonorable award if you basically draw your gun at the wrong time. So you have to sort of time it right and so forth. So there's a little bit of a learning curve with the duel part and all that stuff. It's not terrible, it's just it can be difficult at times to do the shootout part of the game. And last but not least is that, and this one, it depends on your point of view, at least as far as the Switch version goes, there's no multiplayer mode or anything like that. This game is purely single player mode, I believe arcade mode, I think with the high score, I think that might be online, I'm not 100% sure, I'll have to double check that, but this is basically purely a single-player game, which to some, that may be a good thing, it may not be, or that may be a bad thing and all that stuff. So there is no multiplayer mode, there's no, capture the flag, or battle royale, or anything like that. So you're not going to find that in Juarez Gunslinger. Personally, I don't see it as an issue, but I can understand how some people may have an issue with this. Overall, I have to say, I am enjoying Call Juarez Gunslinger for the Nintendo Switch. It's a fun, like, Western-style first-person shooter. The story is just interesting. The visuals of the game looks nice, and the gunplay or the gameplay in general is just fun and enjoyable, though. And I would love to see Techland maybe bring other entries of the Call Juarez series over to the Nintendo Switch. Perhaps maybe remake some of them, maybe adjust certain things that people may have not liked in the old versions, all that stuff. But it is certainly nice that they are bringing a broader game like this over to the Nintendo Switch. It may not be Red Dead Redemption, which I would love to see Rockstar bring over if that's even possible, but it's probably the closest thing ever we got to a Red Dead Redemption on the Nintendo Switch. So if you're looking for a good Western game to play on the Nintendo Switch, I would say give Call Juarez Gunslinger on the Nintendo Switch a try. It's just a shame, at least, that the physical version, as far as that's concerned, it's just a shame that it's basically the empty box with a download code on it. I think it's a little unfortunate, from what I understand, if that's true. I think it's a little unfortunate that they did that. I think it's a little bit scummy and all that stuff, but again, that's my opinion. But putting that aside, I would say Call Juarez Gunslinger is definitely a game worth checking out, and maybe worth downloading and so forth. Okay, before I end this video, I want to give my thoughts on the movie Uncut Gem, the new one from Adam Sandler. Now, growing up, I remember seeing some of the Adam Sandler's movies, mostly them being comedies, like the classics like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, to movies like The Waterboy, The Wedding Singer, Airhead, Little Nicky, and so forth. And yes, I even enjoyed Pixel, though. I know the internet wants to hate that movie, but I actually enjoyed it. I thought that was funny and all. So it was kind of interesting when I saw this trailer for Uncut Gem, Adam Sandler doing what's basically is a serious role and all that stuff, and it was kind of surprising. Although I do remember him doing movies like Punch Drunk Love and all that stuff, so it was sort of interesting to see Adam Sandler star in this kind of movie. And while it is certainly different, it's kind of interesting at the same time. It kind of shows someone being, addicted to gambling, and kind of comes off as a little bit of a scumbag and all that stuff, but it's still, you just want to see how far Adam Sandler's character Howard goes with his addiction to gambling, and how deep he could really dig himself into. So it's a very interesting movie, and the ending, well, I don't want to say what exactly happens at the ending, but I will say that you kind of feel like he kind of saw this coming in a way, though, and it's just still an interesting movie in general, especially involving, with Adam Sandler working in like at a jewelry store or somewhere like a pawn shop and so forth. So the way he portrays his character is like, even though his character is like a scumbag, excuse me, it's still it's still interesting how he's able to portray that character. And also, my overall take with Uncut Gem is that it's different from the Adam Sandler movies I remember seeing growing up, but I still think it's kind of an interesting movie nevertheless, though. Bear in mind, it is an R-rated movie, so just to keep that in mind and all that stuff. But nevertheless, it is certainly different, and I wouldn't mind seeing Adam Sandler doing more of these kind of movies down the road. Okay, this concludes my video review of Call Juarez Gunslinger for the Nintendo Switch, plus my thoughts on the movie Uncut Gems. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Call Juarez Gunslinger for the Nintendo Switch? Are you happy with the Switch version in any way? Have you tried the game out? Have you played it? Have you enjoyed it in any form and all that stuff? Do you like that whole first-person shooter, Wild West setting that Call Juarez Gunslinger has going for it, though? And what are your thoughts about Uncut Gems? Are you kind of surprised to see Adam Sandler do these kinds of movies? Did you enjoy the movie? Did you hate the movie at all? Did you like what I said? Did you not like what I said? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to. And feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, wish you all a good day then.